Bruce Banner, Peter Parker, Danny Davis. What's his power? Apparently it's longevity. Hi, I'm Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the page and like it on your way out. I'm here to discuss a serious issue affecting American politics, and that is old heads in Congress. Congress has become the world's most powerful retirement home. Nancy Pelosi is 83. Joe Biden is 80. Mitch McConnell was 81, and he's been freezing up in public like a laptop with a virus on it, which I know from experience. I know exactly what that looks like. And McConnell might have picked one up since I told him to be careful about clicking those random links. Hey, X and videos are not the same website, Mitch. I keep telling you that. Of course, we just lost Dianne Feinstein at the age of 90 recently. I was about to say sadly, but 90 is a long life. She had a really good run. If I make it to 90, hey, y'all better celebrate my life. That means I beat all the odds, especially with my eating habits and other habits I've picked up. These are the 20 oldest members of Congress, just to put things into perspective. And before I get started, think of the oldest person that comes to mind for you working on our dime. I bet they're not even in the top 10. Now, Feinstein was the oldest member of Congress at the age of 90, but now she's in that Senate building in the sky. Next up would be Senator Chuck Grassley, who's 89 years of age. I'm pretty sure he arrived for his first day in Congress in a chariot. Representative Grace Napolitano is up next at 86 years old, but she's retiring, so I'll be nice to her. Apparently she got an advance copy of this video and did the right thing. Representative Bill Pascrell Jr. of New Jersey is also 86. But he's planning to stay, and apparently no amount of early bird specials at Golden Corral could change his mind. Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton of DC is also 86, but I like her, so I'm gonna go easy on her. I'll just say I hope she's grooming a successor that's as awesome as she is. Then we have Representative Hal Rogers of Kentucky, who's 85 years old and serving, yes, his 22nd term. That's 2 twos. He's been serving terms almost as long as Colonel Sanders been serving chicken. And I'm gonna say soggy chicken at that. Team Popeyes over here, but I would also settle for Raising Cane's. Representative Maxine Waters is 85. Apparently she meant it when she said she was reclaiming her time. She's going to need all of it. Maryland Representative Steny Hoyer is 84, and that's my home state. My man's been in office since 1981. I might have voted for him as an infant. Plus, his name is Steny, which means he almost definitely knows how to fight. I mentioned Nancy Pelosi already, and she's number 9 on this list at 83 years old. Coming in at number 10, we have Representative Jim Clyburn of South Carolina, who's also 83, which brings me to Danny Davis of Illinois, who's 82. He's so old, he's from an era where parents gave their kids those Marvel Comics alliterative names in real life, like Bruce Banner, Peter Parker, Danny Davis. What's his power? Apparently it's longevity. And then you have Bernie Sanders, who comes in at the number 12 spot since he's 82 years old. Yes, 82 is good for 12. That's right. There are multiple members of Congress who can legitimately call Bernie Sanders a young man. At lucky number 13, we have Representative John Carter, who's 81. And doesn't John Carter just sound like somebody who came over on the Mayflower? Which legitimately this guy might have. I mentioned Mitch Freeze Frame McConnell already. He's 81 years old, but just good for 14th place. Let that sink in. Next up at 15, Representative Frederica Wilson, who's 80, and which also explains her penchant for wearing sparkly church hats. They won't even sell you one of those until you get past 65. And those hats come with a lifetime supply of butterscotch candy for your purse. Number 16, Representative Anna Eshoo of California, who's 80. I have no idea who she is, which means she's smart enough to stay out of the news and lay low until somebody like me realizes she's been there since 1993. Rounding out the 20 oldest members of Congress, Kay Granger, Rosa DeLauro, Jim Rich, and Virginia Fox, all of whom are also 80. A whole legislative caucus of people as old as Raleigh Forbes from Amen. And by the way, you gotta be pushing 40 just to get that last reference. Wait, does that make me too old for YouTube? You know what? I'm exhausted, and those are just the octogenarians. I haven't even gotten to Donald Trump, the Republican frontrunner for the 2024 election, who's 77. Now, it might not be an issue for him since hateful curmudgeons seem to live forever. You don't believe me? Go visit a nursing home in the South and tell me I'm wrong. Strom Thurmond would still be in office if racist corpses could serve, and so would Bobby Byrd, actually, if they accepted formally racist corpses. Oh, and did I mention the president of the United States is 81 and running again? He turns 82 in November. That means he'll be 86 in office, the highest office in the land. Now, how is Congress supposed to represent all Americans if so many members are at an age where it's natural for there to be a cultural disconnect? Or even a disconnect as far as just being healthy enough or mentally capable of doing their jobs. I'm not being ageist when I ask that after seeing Mitch McConnell have what appeared to be a mini stroke live twice in the last year, only to be told that everything is fine. Now, ageism is in fact a thing as corporations try and phase out their more senior members to make way for younger and often cheaper replacements. But when it comes to lawmaking, we just go the other way? Now, the reason this happens is because running for office and being in office are two entirely different things. These geriatric incumbents are often people who cannot lose because they've been in office for so long, they have connections into every branch of their jurisdiction. They know where the bodies are buried and who to pay to remove those bodies if need be. They're the legislative version of being a made man in the mafia. But one very significant thing, that doesn't necessarily make them good at that particular job, just really, really hard to beat. Mitch McConnell couldn't beat Boo Boo the Fool if he had to run a regular campaign, hit the streets, give speeches, shake hands, kiss babies, and debate Boo Boo head to head. You think he's doing all that? Unfortunately, Mitch and others like him have enough name recognition and clout. They don't have to and haven't had to in some cases for decades. Now, how can we call ourselves the leaders of the free world with octogenarians in Congress or the White House? And once again, before y'all start calling me ageist, let me ask you this. What other job keeps rehiring 80-year-olds? I mean, that's pushing it for a Walmart greeter. These people refuse to retire because it's a plush gig that's very lucrative and even more powerful. It's like a drug that only a select few will ever have access to. These members of Congress are literally saying, you'll have to pry this from my cold, dead hands. You know, it's about time we had laws in place just to keep this from continuing to happen. You know what? I propose a constitutional amendment that requires any lawmaker over 75 to take an annual exam to see if they're in tune with the rest of the world. We know you know who Dean Martin is, but what about Sexy Red? I propose we call this amendment Too Old to Fail. If you have something you want me to look into or something that's troubling you, just throw it in the comments. You could email me at reese.waters@gmail.com or join me on my weekly Tuesday 2 p.m. live. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you get that notification. This happened? How did the wheels fall off this fast? JD Vance gotta be on the worst potential VP run since Sarah Palin said anything. Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
Bro, I barely even know you. Who starts a conversation like that? How is this our first entry into JD Vance world? Are you just trying to see if it's cool to unleash all the dark thoughts that came out of the crevices of that bowl cut? Why would you even ask me something like that?
This issue is personal. I nearly lost my mother to the poison coming across our border.
That's not going to age well.
It's amazing how these Trump nut cradlers write books, but then forget what they put in them. So J.D. Vance is over here lying to you guys, saying his mother was almost a victim of fentanyl poisoning and shit came from the border, right? But his book said otherwise. His mother had a lot of issues, a lot of substance abuse issues as well, and she was a nurse who stole prescriptions from patients. He said it himself. And this is 30 years ago, before anyone ever heard the word fentanyl.
And just think about the patients who had their medication taken, had to sit there in pain for no other reason than she wanted to feel special between 3 and 5 p.m. on that particular day as she watched her stories, and then don't even get the credit for going through that pain, but the historical record you blame it on fentanyl. And also, how do you forget what's in your own book? Do you just wake up every day and reinvent yourself? Who do you think you are, Byron Donalds?
In many ways, what Trump is just another opioid. He's something that's going to take the pain away. He's going to make people feel better for a little while. But at the end of the day, the problems are still going to be there.
This is an evolution, and I know you've been asked about this before, about past comments that you've made about Donald Trump. You've said, I'm a never Trump guy, never liked him, terrible candidate, idiot if you voted for him, might be America's Hitler, might be a cynical a-hole, cultural heroine, noxious and reprehensible.
Now, this was when J.D. Vance first burst upon the political scene. This is what he had to say. I gotta ask, are you loyal to anybody?
Look, I love my wife so much. I love her because she's who she is. Obviously, she's not a white person, and we've been attacked by some white supremacists over that. But I love Usha. She's such a good mom.
Whoa. You had me at but. Obviously, she's not a white person, but why is there a but? She shouldn't have to be a white person for you to love her. Here you are apologizing for the fact that your wife is not a white person. Way to legitimize all the knuckleheads that are coming in with racism, who you know are there, and you want to make sure feel perfectly comfortable, so you throw your Indian wife under the bus. I actually feel bad for her. Okay, never mind. No, I don't. My bad. I'm sorry. I didn't realize she was Nikki Haley Brown. Now, I didn't realize she was Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, Dinesh D'Souza, throw all under minorities under the bus to achieve peak whiteness. I didn't know she was from that package of the Crayola.
Our likely opponent, Kamala Harris, because, she said a couple of days ago that I showed no loyalty to the United States, that I have no loyalty to the United States. Well, I don't know Kamala. I served in the United States Marine Corps, and I built a business. What the hell have you done other than collect a government check for the past 20 years?
Now, first of all, there are a lot of different people that are questioning your loyalty. It is not just Kamala Harris. Obviously, your wife could question your loyalty based on what you just said. Your constituents could question your loyalty. Trump could question your loyalty. Your own face could question your loyalty, given the fact that you like to cover it with so much blush and foundation. Apparently, the entire country can question your loyalty as well. Dish you?
What the hell have you done other than collect a government check for the past 20 years?
Nah, we're not going to do that. Now, see, JD, you got to steer clear of all. You got to steer clear of leaning into those kinds of tropes. You got to steer clear of that, because Kamala Harris was a prosecutor and a DA and an attorney general and a senator before serving as vice president. And you wrote a book that you apparently didn't even read, because you out here claiming that it was fentanyl. So we want to steer clear of any comparison of records, because There's no other conclusion one could come to other than that you, in fact, are the unqualified DEI hire. And while we're speaking of records, state of Ohio, y'all know me. Y'all know how I feel about Ohio. I got a kinship with you, but this your man's.
Now, where can I get a good fried bologna sandwich right now? All right, this is the guy who makes it. But I you know, I'll tell you another story. That's right. He probably does have an IQ of 210, but don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. So, I love you guys. But so I just
You know somebody's struggling on stage when they start just talking to the crowd like, hey, how y'all doing? Hey, how y'all feeling? Hey, give it up for the ladies, huh? Give it up for the ladies. Hey, if you got fingernails, clap. If you got fingernails, round of applause. Yeah, give it up for your fingernails. Between his terrible record, his lack of any consistency, and the complete absence of charisma, how in the hell did he get elected, Ohio? How in the hell did he get elected? How did you even pay attention to him long enough to realize that he was somebody that you like? See, that's why I went with Ozzie Newsome. That's why I went, because you betrayed yourselves. You betrayed yourselves, Ohio.
And this is one of the great tricks that I think the sexual revolution pulled on the American populace, which is this idea that, like, well, okay, these marriages were fundamentally, you know, they were maybe even violent, but certainly they were unhappy. And so getting rid of them and making it easier for people to shift spouses like they change their underwear, that's going to make people happier in the long term. And maybe it worked out for the moms and dads, though I'm skeptical, but it really didn't work out for the kids of those marriages.
I get it now. I get it now. It's the sorry husbands. I get it. It's the sorry husbands that voted for J.D. Vance because he felt like he gave them a way to forcibly keep their wives in the marriage. Now I got it. Now they not know we're not gonna do right. We just gonna make it illegal for her to leave. That's what it is. I'ma do me. I'ma do me. I'm just make sure that she can't do her. She's also gonna be doing me. You know what? Why don't we run that back?
And this is one of the great tricks that I think the sexual revolution pulled on the American populace, which is this idea that, like, well, okay, these marriages were fundamentally, you know, they were maybe even violent, but certainly they were unhappy. And so getting rid of them and making it easier for people to shift spouses like they change their underwear, that's going to make people happier in the long term. And maybe it worked out for the moms and dads, though I'm skeptical, but it really didn't work out for the kids.
So if I got this straight, despite the fact that people say that it worked out for them to get a divorce, you challenge that. So apparently J.D. Vance knows better than people about their own situations, not to mention the fact that he ignores the damage that occurs when people decide to stay in an abusive relationship. Because that's never traumatic to the kids. No, that's never traumatic to the kids when an abusive relationship is just allowed to continue in perpetuity. And then you add on top of that the fact that these are people who actively don't want to be together but are legally obligated to stay. How's that going to work out? That was worse for Ohio than J.R. Smith's timeout. I can't think of anything more damaging he possibly could have said.
Look, what I was basically saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it? I just wanted to ask that question.
So let me get this straight. In an election in which your mission is to wrongfully convince women that you aren't aggressively hostile towards them, you attack childless cat ladies? That was the move for you. That's what you decided to do. Caitlin Clark just catching strays for no reason. She did nothing to deserve this.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
Childless cat ladies. There is growing criticism online right now to those comments, including from actress Jennifer Aniston. April, if your problem in the last election was suburban women, is this what you want voters to be hearing right now?
Now, JD, I have had a long-standing beef with Jennifer Aniston. It goes all the way back to the fact that people don't see Friends as the living single reboot that it actually is. Also, that you had a whole network show that didn't see fit to include black people in it at all. And the fact that apparently they were all trust fund babies, or they were just picking up envelopes of money because they wasn't working but could afford bomb apartments in New York when I was living there, working 2 jobs to live in the basement with a roommate. But I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I've let it all go. And then it actually continued when she took a shot at Jamie Foxx and didn't apologize when she accused him of anti-Semitism. Me and Jennifer Aniston are kind of beefing. But one thing I do know is that you probably just want to lay out at this point, considering the fact that you have staked out ground opposite the women who you need to woo. I'm gonna tell you one thing: they love Jennifer Aniston. So I would just stand down.
You have Hollywood celebrities saying, oh, well, JD Vance, what if your daughter suffered fertility problems? Well, first of all, that's disgusting because my daughter is 2 years old. And second of all, if she had fertility problems, as I said in that speech, I would try everything I could to try to help her because I believe families and babies are a good thing. That's the whole point, is if you believe families and babies are a good thing, you should be trying to promote life. You should try to promote the fact that we want to have a good family policy in this country.
So you decided to clap back. You decided to clap back, and you go with disgusting to characterize her talking about the reality that your daughter will one day become a woman. That's disgusting because she's talking about the eventuality of her growing up. Is that disgusting? Oh, I get why you want to see her as a child and not a woman, because if you see her as a woman, then you would have to attack her. I get it, because that clearly is your MO. Or you would have to apologize for her Indianness.
Oh, hey, as you might have heard, Donald Trump's running mate and future star of his own Dateline episode, JD Vance, is ruffling quite a few feathers this week.
We're effectively run in this country by a bunch of childless cat ladies who look at Kamala Harris. The entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children.
Listen up, you wingnut elegy. This country is still controlled by men in systems that were set up by men that are carefully crafted to continue to benefit men. So to put it in women-hating terms, you'll understand you're being hysterical. But let's be clear, there's no correlation between childless people and the presidency. For example, our very first United States president, Mr. George Washington, didn't have children. In fact, he had 2 stepchildren. That's right, just like someone else I know. And to your point about Kamala not being fit because she's not a mother, I'd like to remind you that no president in the history of the United States has ever been a mother. But maybe if she had 5 kids with 3 different men and a scandalous affair with a porn star and was convicted felon, that would be more palatable to Republican men. I mean, my God, are we tired? You sad, diet, Mountain Dew drinking, couch humping, dolphin porn aficionado, all of us childless cat and dog ladies are going to go from childless and crushing it to childless and crushing you in November. And before you tell me he didn't really fuck a couch, spare me. I grew up in New Jersey in the 80s where everyone had a couch in their basement, and I know a couch fucker when I see one.
Now, what's this I hear about a couch?
Okay, so there's this rumor online that JD Vance wrote about having sex with his couch. That's not true, and today we're going to prove it. I should also say that I used to work in Democratic politics. And so as much as I hate JD Vance, I hate misinformation more. Anyway, here's a page. There's no number, but it's 179. Let's give it a read. During my first year at Yale, I felt like nobody would accept the real me. A working class kid who spent every night and sucking the cotton cheeks of Mama's couch while the ottoman watched. Pushing that cushion with my eager little between its blow the back out of this dirty bend it over like a recliner. Unlike my classmates, I didn't grow up with a chaise lawn. I had a
Well, I'm sure we will all handle this responsibly as a country. How did this happen? How did the wheels fall off this fast? JD Vance gotta be on the worst potential VP run since Sarah Palin said anything.
I think it's a profound contradiction, but maybe it's not that complicated. I know there are a lot of folks who say, what's going on with some of these Silicon Valley folks veering into Trump world with JD Vance and backing Trump? What are they thinking? Silicon Valley is supposed to be, they're supposed to care about climate. They're supposed to be, pro-science and rational and libertarians. So normally libertarians don't like authoritarians. What's up with that? I think it's actually, we've made it way too complicated. It's super simple. These are very rich men who have decided to back the Republican Party that tends to do good things for very rich men.
Couldn't agree with you. Yeah.
And by the way, that's kind of what you're getting with. That's kind of what you're getting with JD, right? So I knew a lot of people like him when I got to Harvard. I found a lot of people like him who would say whatever they needed to get ahead. And 5 years ago, that seemed like being the anti-Trump Republican. So that's what he was. Talked about how he was unfit, how he was cynical, called him an opioid, which is kind of a weird thing to say about a person, but definitely a really... But I mean, for somebody whose identity is that they're connected to Appalachia, which has an opioid crisis, that really is the darkest thing you could possibly say about Donald Trump, at least in public. 5 years later, the way he gets ahead is that he's the greatest guy since sliced bread.
Oh, we all know a social climber when we see one, and no pound of makeup can hide your social climbing.
And I actually watched this exact same process with somebody else I got to know in my days in the Midwest, which was my former governor, Mike Pence, who I watched start out as an evangelical Christian who cared about rectitude and family values, and then get on board with a guy who was mixed up with a porn star, make excuses for him, so that he could have power. And then he did. He got 4 glorious years, I guess, as vice president of the United States. And it ended on the west front of the Capitol with Trump supporters proposing that he be hanged for using the one shred of integrity he still had to stand up to an attempt to overthrow the government. Right. So I guess, maybe not as a politician, but as a human being, what I'll say is that I hope things work out a little bit better for J.D. Vance than they did for Mike Pence.
Somehow I doubt it, but you're just slow enough to try. Bro, you even lost Tomi Lahren.
I think they're going to replay the clip, and they already have. I mean, they already have, about him calling, women and calling Kamala Harris and others childless cat ladies. If we're trying to win that.
Wow.
If we're trying to win suburban women, and this is something that he said a while back, but if you're trying to win suburban women and you call suburban women childless cat ladies, you're not going to convince them to come over to your side.
No
I
question.
think it's funny as a Republican, but I don't think a lot of suburban women that are on the fence are going to find it funny.
And also, apparently, your abortion stance on your website, but that's just another thing that's flexible. Man, you ain't loyal to nobody and no thing. And I can tell you this, Trump ain't gonna like this. He's not gonna like this at all. Not the disloyalty, but the constant gaffes keeping you in the news. He's not gonna like that. That is his brand. That is a specific Trump brand, being so maniacal and making so many mistakes that you just flood the internet with memes. That is his thing. And after all of this, I gotta ask, man, are you a Democrat?
The addition of J.D. Vance to this ticket, it's incredibly bad choice. I think Donald Trump, I know him, and he's probably sitting and watching the TV, and every day it comes out Vance has done something more extreme, more weird, more erratic. Vance seems to be more erratic and more extreme than President Trump. And I'll bet President Trump is sitting there scratching his head and wondering, why did I pick this guy? The choice may be one of the best things he ever did for Democrats.
What do you mean?
Now, the president has about 10 days before the Ohio ballot is locked in, and he has a choice. Does he keep Vance on the ticket, where he already has a whole lot of baggage? He's probably going to be more baggage over the weeks because we'll hear more things about him, or does he pick someone new? It's his choice.
At a time like this, I think it's important to think of the real victims of J.D. Vance's horrifically bad VP run. And that is Tim Scott and Byron Donalds. Y'all got passed over for this dude. By the way, I have an email list that I maintain, and I have a newsletter that I send out periodically as well. I would love for you to get on my email list. Feel free to shoot me a message at reese.waters@gmail.com. That's reese.waters@gmail.com. And the same goes if you have any suggestions for videos, if you have any nominees for Racist of the Week, if you have something that you are troubled by, or you just want to throw me a kudos, feel free to email me. I don't always get a chance to look at all of the comments, but I definitely look at all of the emails and I respond.
And there are those that would make some people believe that because I happen to be black and or a woman, that somehow, even though I can rattle off all the qualifications in the world, my blackness makes me unqualified.
Y'all should have never got this sister started. Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, I have previously exposed here on this very platform the stupidity and flat out racism and all this anti-DEI rhetoric, be it Claudine Gay. Claudine Gay has suffered attacks on her character and especially her record. You know, the record that includes a BA from Stanford, a PhD from Harvard, being a Stanford professor, a Harvard professor, Harvard's dean of faculty, and finally Harvard's president. A school that's had multiple presidents with no PhD, but she has one from Harvard. I suppose that's not enough. The Boeing fiasco or the Key Bridge in Baltimore. Now, just put aside for a moment, how the f is this the mayor's fault? Links to those are in the bio, by the way, but Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett just dropped the mic.
I just want to go over a few things that are concerning and alarming to me. I don't know if you're familiar, but have you ever heard of Project 2025?
I've read about that, Congresswoman.
Okay. And there are some things indicated in Project 2025 that are quite concerning to me. And I want to talk about a few of those topics because this hearing almost feels like a Project 2025 hearing. One of those topics is diversity in the workplace. The agenda includes making sure that the next conservative administration dismantles DEI apparatus by eliminating various chief diversity officer positions, et cetera. And you engaged in an exchange earlier with one of my colleagues, and I don't know if you recall, but it was hitting me a little differently as a Black woman sitting here, because it almost seemed as if you either get diversity or you get qualifications. It did not seem as if my colleague understood that someone can be diverse and qualified. And it is why you have people like me that get very frustrated, not just in the halls of Congress, but in general in this country. Because as I'm sitting here, and there seemed to be this question of you're either diverse or you're qualified, all I could think about was the fact that I currently hold an honorary doctorate. I also hold a Juris Doctorate. I also hold a bachelor's. I also technically hold the rank of Lieutenant Colonel in the Civil Air Patrol, and I actually practiced law for almost 2 decades, in addition to serving on various boards, in addition to being a prior state lawmaker. And there are those that would make some people believe that because I happen to be Black and or a woman, that somehow, even though I can rattle off all the qualifications in the world, my Blackness makes me unqualified. My question to you is that the attitude that you subscribe to?
You are either diverse or you're qualified. Now, the anti-DEI crowd would argue it's about the best person for the job, right? Regardless of skin color. Then how come you never point to nepotism, huh? How can we never point to nepotism or any of the cronyism that's involved? Your man, Donald Trump, just appointed his daughter-in-law to head the RNC because she was the last person left in the family who wasn't already working in the administration. Well, see, the thing is, because when I put on my red hat, see, I wasn't the best person for the job. But when I put on my red MAGA hat, then it's the best Trump for the job. I can't help it. And besides, if it was about the best person for the job, where in the world is all the smoke for Marjorie Taylor Greene? Lauren Boebert, anybody? Can you imagine if Jasmine Crockett had a mugshot? How about if her feed was filled with video of her working out?
Joe Biden, you're not a president. You're a piece of shit.
But meanwhile,
I currently hold an honorary doctorate. I also hold a Juris Doctorate. I also hold a bachelor's. I also technically hold the rank of Lieutenant Colonel in the Civil Air Patrol, and I actually practiced law for almost 2 decades, in addition to serving on various boards, in addition to being a prior state lawmaker. And there are those that would make some people believe that because I happen to be Black and or a woman, that somehow, even though I can rattle off all the qualifications in the world, my Blackness makes me unqualified.
It's pretty clear this ain't about qualifications. Now, I will throw you this bone. It seems pretty clear you don't vet anybody on that side of the aisle.
You know, Cain killed Abel, and that's the problem that we have. And I said, what we need to do is look into how we can stop those things. You know, he talked about doing a disinformation. What about getting a department that can look at young men that's looking at women that's looking at just social media? What about doing that, looking into things like that, and we can stop that way? But yet they want to just continue to talk about taking away your constitutional rights. And I think there's more things we need to look into. This has been happening for years, and the way we stop it, by putting money into the mental health field, by putting money into other departments rather than departments that want to take away your rights.
But everybody you attack on this side of the aisle is a person of color. Now Now, why is that? That is quite the coincidence. Is this some kind of passenger 57 thing? Always bet on black?
Well, let me give you a word of advice. Always bet on black.
In fact, the best argument for DEI programs is your own racism. No, they ain't ready. They not, because they not ready to hear this. They not ready to hear about themselves. You know what? I'm gonna give it to you. Your racism got away from you and wandered away from the porch without a leash. The sheer fact that you identify any black person, whether they earn their position through years of service, DEI. They were nominated, DEI. If they were elected, DEI. That's the reason why diversity initiatives are necessary, because too many of you can't evaluate us based on anything other than the color of our skin. And you made that abundantly clear in your reaction to Jasmine Crockett. That is right, you played yourselves. No, we don't need no cash registers in this here store, because cash registers make you stupid. Hold on a second. What's that, $5.95? Okay, out of 20, there's your 10 back. Thank you for coming. You are literally proving the necessity for the thing that you detest so much. And that's before we get to the fact that, like Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, Jasmine Crockett was elected. I guess that was some kind of special DEI ballots that people were casting in Baltimore and Texas. And what is that? Like a ballot made out of kente cloth? Is that what it is? Like a little kente cloth in the corner? Or is it just like an all black ballot with white writing on it? Is that what the DEI ballots look like? And if you're wondering, by the way, his answer to Jasmine Crockett was pretty interesting in itself.
My blackness makes me unqualified. My question to you is that the attitude that you subscribe to?
Absolutely not, Congresswoman. And in fact, what we do at OPM every day is look to knock down barriers that are keeping qualified people like yourself, qualified people from all across America for pursuing federal jobs. Some of the things that we've done, for example, are eliminate unnecessary degree requirements and assess people based on the skills that they have and not just where they learned them. We have opened the doors to recruiting from HBCUs, HSIs, minority-serving institutions, populations that may not have thought of the federal government as an employer before. And we have a broad definition of diversity. There are rural populations that have in the past never considered the federal government as a potential employer because the offices were too far away and they would have to get up and leave from their hometown. Now there are some opportunities that they can stay right in that rural hometown and work for the federal government, let alone the amazing military spouses around this country who have to pick up and move in their jobs when their spouse is redeployed. Trying to tap in and keep that talent in government has been a big priority of ours.
Thank you so much for giving a plug to the Readiness Act.
Not bad. And the Readiness Act, by the way, is legislation that will allow more flexibility for working military and foreign services spouses when a service member is deployed or transferred. The bill was introduced by Congresswoman Crockett and Congressman Don Bacon and is endorsed by several organizations, including Blue Star Families, the Military Family Advisory Network, and With Honor Action. But of course, she's not qualified. The irony is, while you're attacking her blackness, she's actually working for you.
And when we say things like we're fighting for SNAP benefits, I do want to be clear that me fighting for SNAP benefits isn't about my district. I mean, obviously it is, but at the end of the day, so many members have said, my district, my district, my district, my district, my district. When we write a farm bill, it is for everyone in the United States of America. And just to clarify, when it comes to SNAP benefits specifically, rural America uses more SNAP benefits than urban America. And right now, I serve an urban district. The majority of my Republican colleagues serve rural districts. So when I say that I'm fighting for a bill that includes making sure that people in this country don't go hungry, I'm not saying that just to say that this is about Texas 30. I'm saying that to say that this is about all of us. So I am not just fighting for my constituents, I'm fighting for yours too.
I bet you didn't know that, did you? I bet you had absolutely no idea rural America uses more SNAP benefits than urban America. I bet even they didn't know, because we've all been conditioned after Reagan's welfare queen trope back in the 80s. So you can sit there on the farm complaining about the blacks in the cities getting their free handouts, in between walking to the mailbox to get your free handout. And what's so bad, you will even work against your own interests. We will go hungry, because I know we get the handout, but we will go hungry because I don't want them to have it. That is a sacrifice I am willing to make because I am a patriot. If you're looking for somebody to blame, look around the neighborhood.
I want to start off by saying I think most Americans are taught at a very young age that you are who you surround yourself with.
Is the fact that my colleague from the other side of the aisle talked about the company that we keep. And she wanted to go through a list of people that she felt like were bad company, because right now the majority has been relying upon the testimony of someone who's currently sitting in federal prison. And we know that your company is the company of somebody who's been found liable of fraud, as well as defamation, as well as sexual assault, and for whatever reason can't pay his bills.
Go ahead. I'll wait.
But in this particular set of circumstances, we know that if somebody shoots at me, in fact, some would argue that last week I had a colleague that decided she wanted to shoot at me, I'm going to shoot back.
She's a bleached blonde, bad-built butch body, swinging for the fences, good God almighty. A heat-seeking missile, too scared to debate, cries like a baby when she don't get her way.
So this idea of throwing out Joe Manchin and all these other people, listen, if y'all decide to go any other way, have fun with that.
Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, when Joe Biden left the race, I was a glass case of emotions. I was feeling all sorts of things. I made a whole video all about it.
I don't know anything about politics. I just know that I love this man. I care about this man. It was painful every day to sit up here and talk about him like he's just a, some problem for the party. Wait till we get to the convention. You're going to see people crying, standing, screaming, cheering. He may not get a chance to talk for 10 minutes. We finally get a chance to put our arm around this guy. He did the right thing for this country. He did the right thing for this party. All of us are going to be in this situation someday, and I hope that we take a moment to honor this man and to love this man. I love Joe Biden. I appreciate what he's done, and a lot of people are heartbroken today. Even if it's the right thing, it's still just horrible.
Whatever happened to don't cry at work? You ain't cried this hard since Amber Rose. But who I really wanted to hear from was the unofficial Democratic spokesperson, Jasmine Crockett.
And of course, they don't want you to ever have an opportunity to raise your voice in the state of Texas. In fact, Ms. Perry, I know your organization, the Heritage Foundation, loves Texas. Ooh, they love Texas. They always sending us some nonsense bills that somehow set this country on the wrong trajectory. They send them to Texas. They send them to Florida. Every deplorable state that we can think about, they usually coming out of y'all's think tank.
Fortunately, Joy Reid, who I also put out a video about, she's got MAGA all kind of triggered.
Nobody knew that there could have been 5 shooters for all they knew. Yet they allowed him to stand up in the middle of that, crisis and pose for a photo and fist pump the air so he could get the iconic photo. And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV. That seems really unusual. What is the actual injury to Donald Trump's ear that's under that bandage? Shouldn't we know that by now?
Fortunately, Joy Reid had her on to calm everybody down.
Which is that I stand 10 toes down with Vice President Kamala Harris to become the next president of the United States. I made it very clear very early. If Joe is out, there is only one person that I will be working for. So this idea of throwing out Joe Manchin and all these other people, listen, if y'all decide to go any other way, have fun with that. But the only person that I will get out there and break my back for and campaign for and believe in, who is capable and qualified, is Vice President Kamala Harris.
By the way, I can go ahead and translate have fun with that for those that are unacquainted. So have fun with that is a black person's way to tell you to go to hell. The other thing that they'll say, that's the negative version of it. The positive version of it is if you like it, I love it. If you like it, I love it means that's horrible. I cannot condone what you're doing, but I still love you. That is if you like it, I love it. Have fun with that is I hope it goes bad, and I'm going to be laughing here when it does.
You mentioned Joe Manchin. I can now confirm that, and it was said apparently on ABC, the great Donna Brazile, our good sister, former head of the DNC, she has confirmed that she did get a call from Senator Joe Manchin to inquire about the nomination. I will note for our audience, of course, that he did leave the Democratic Party, so it's not clear how he would do that, but she did remind him that you would actually have to be a Democrat to do that. So she said she's not sure what he was thinking, but he did make that inquiry.
Joe Manchin, what you out here doing? Huh? What you out here doing? He left his family to go be with his mistress and found out his mistress, she don't cook, she don't clean, she don't wash. He want to go back home, but the locks done changed.
I believe that he has a chance, an opportunity to finish the 5 months of his presidency with the way he has always basically overseen his office, whether it be as senator or as president, wanting to be that uniter, bringing us together, being able to bring peace to the Middle East, being able to support Ukraine in their fight for freedom, and also being able to show the whole world how a transfer of power can be done by the superpower of the world in a most respectful way. I'm hoping for that because I think it'll leave him with a tremendous legacy as one of the greatest leaders that we've had. And I say this, and I came to the decision with a heavy heart that I think it's time to pass the torch to a new generation.
You realize this fool went to the national media calling on Joe Biden to step out of the race before it in fact happened? Bro, who is you? You ain't even in the party. As not a member of Jonathan Major's team, I want to ask him to stop dressing like a sharecropper. Now, the next thing that Jasmine Crockett weighed in on is how confident she feels about Kamala Harris's chances. And what's fascinating about this is it really speaks to how far black people feel like we have come. I recall all the way back in 2008 when Barack Obama emerged, and it looks like he had a clear shot at winning the Democratic nomination, and then further the presidency. If you ask me how confident I felt, I would think back on my experiences through 20 plus years of life and say,
I am not confident. I will be working and working and working. As you mentioned, there was the other call with Win with Black Women, which is actually still going on right now. I have been in touch with those delegates that have pledged themselves to President Biden in my district. We are in the process of contacting all of the Texas delegation. I am not confident at all because, as it was laid out earlier, I do know that, behind closed doors, while I won't name names, that there were people that were absolutely like it can't be the vice president. So in one breath they were saying, the president needs to be out. In the next breath they were also saying it can't be her.
Now this is a tough spot for me, and I know for a lot of Democrats who, like me, are messy. I understand that we need to come together. I understand that the stakes are extremely high and we need a united front in order to emerge victorious. But I want to name names. I'm messy. I like when you name names.
And so it was one of the reasons that I was very fearful that we would end up falling into this trap of chaos, which, you know, we have done a really good job in the House of making it clear that the chaotic party is the Republicans, as we've watched them perform as straight up clowns this entire, you know, year and a half. So the fact that we would eat our own was really disappointing, especially since I know that it wouldn't be kind of this smooth transition over to the other person that is on the ticket, which is the vice president.
Now, I know some of you guys watching may be independents, you may be conservative leaning, some of you may be full-blown Republicans and may take issue with her characterization of them as clowns. And to those of you, I would like to present Exhibit A.
From the next Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance.
Exhibit B.
If you took that stage, you would get booed off of it. You would get booed off the stage.
Shut up, Gates. Hey, man, be an asshole.
Dude, I don't even know who you are, man.
It doesn't fucking matter who I am. I'll be an asshole.
One person who raised the issue, he's got an ethics complaint about sleeping with a 17-year-old.
Exhibit C.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the most patriotic American badass on earth, President Donald J. Trump.
Exhibit D.
Enough was enough, and I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother.
Let's just move on.
But nevertheless, everybody knows that I was doing everything that I could for the president. I'm going to do everything that I can for the vice president. I was just in Phoenix with the second gentleman where we were campaigning. I have gone around this country. I've been to Philly, I think 4 times. I've been to Michigan. So a lot of the people that were coming out and had all these opinions, I hadn't seen them in the streets fighting for this. So now that they got their way, my only request is, will you finally lace up your shoes and do some work? You know, if it was the president that was the problem, then fine, get to work, but we have to win.
Now, she presents a very excellent point. It's one thing to say what you don't want, and it's one thing to say what the problem is. I know I have, but it's another thing to actually work and fix the problem. Are you willing to come together and form a coalition that can take us to a victory in November, not just in the executive branch, but in the legislative as well, because the stakes are that high? Or you just like to be out in the streets complaining? Also, I would like to one day be referred to as the second gentleman, or even the first gentleman. I've been called a gentleman before, but never a highly ranked gentleman. I want to be the first or second gentleman.
I can tell you that I know this vice president. I know her heart. The fact that I did get a phone call from her, I'm just a freshman member of Congress, y'all. But it tells you the type of person that she is. And I can't really say that I know for sure that I would be here today without the inspiration of Kamala Harris, which I was able to share with her soon upon me being sworn in. The fact that as a young black female lawyer, I looked to her when she first became an elected prosecutor in the Bay Area, and I've been following her career the entire time. So I look forward to this fight, but if anybody thinks this is going to be easy, it's not, and we need all hands on deck.
Now, Jasmine Crockett has also been at the forefront of making sure that people are very well aware of not only the stakes, but some of the intricacies and realities of Project 2025, to the point of articulating how much has already been done.
I think that it's really important that people understand that Project 2025 is actually already underway. As someone who served in the Texas House and had to endure the Heritage Foundation sending bills, because that's exactly what they've been doing, is they've been sending bills through our state houses and our state senates. That is how we got to the point that we ended up with these abortion bans. They called it the heartbeat bill in the state of Texas. That is something that they passed along to Texas. They passed it along to Florida. And so what people need to understand and decide is if you like the direction that this country is going as it relates to our Supreme Court that has eviscerated our Constitution, that seemingly doesn't care anything about court precedents and seemingly only wants to bow down to Trump as if they are serving him in the way that Eileen Cannon just did, then that is what you will get more of. If you want to live in a country in which you are force-fed this pseudo-Christianity, where you have to believe in God and do the things that they say their God wants you to do, which I argue is the same God that they use to justify slavery in the first place. And then when we look at diversity, equity, and inclusion and what they've done in the Supreme Court, we already see this actually taking place. The issue that we don't understand is that the last kind of nail in the coffin is Trump getting into the presidency. And the scariest part about that is that let's say he decides he doesn't want to leave the White House. Well, who's going to check him? Because the Supreme Court has decided that checking him is not really something they're interested in doing.
It is a shame that America is just not ready for two black women. I'm going to do a whole video about potential running mates for Kamala Harris, but two black women, they would just have ads featuring just a black square all across MAGA country and MAGA land, just terrifying people with the idea of two black women in the White House. I will also say this, because I had the video about exactly how triggering Joy Reid and Kamala Harris and Jasmine Crockett and Ketanji Brown Jackson has been to MAGA. Just checking to see exactly what they're saying about Jasmine Crockett right now. Just what I thought. Exactly what I thought. And to think, all them dry wigs I saw all across the RNC convention. I don't think Milwaukee has any fabric left. By the way, I have an email list that I maintain, and I have a newsletter that I send out periodically as well. I would love for you to get on my email list. Feel free to shoot me a message at reese.waters@gmail.com. That's reese.waters@gmail.com. And the same goes if you have any suggestions for videos, if you have any nominees for Races of the Week, if you have something that you are troubled by, or you just want to throw me a kudos, feel free to email me. I don't always get a chance to look at all of the comments, but I definitely look at all of the emails and I respond. I knew we could trust you, bruh. The fact check alone from that speech was longer than Dana White's introduction. Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. All right, Trump, you see that man? That is Aaron Rodgers. You remember how a couple years back, he had about 100% approval rating. Everybody loved to watch Aaron Rodgers play, and he was able to turn that on its head in just a matter of months. That is the kind of performance we need from you, okay? People are scrambling over on the left side of the aisle. You got lawmakers calling for Joe Biden to step down. You have a ton of sympathy and goodwill after the shooting at the rally. What we need from you tonight is a performance that can turn all of that on its head. We need to find a way to remind people of who you truly are. Now, starting with the fact that all week, the RNC has been talking this message of unifying the country. We need to knock that down immediately.
This is the final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists. We will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media, and we will liberate America from these villains once and for all.
Amazing, amazing. I did not see that coming. I didn't see that coming at all. Can you start name calling again?
That's crazy Nancy Pelosi, the whole thing, just boom, boom, boom.
You went with Pelosi, crazy Nancy Pelosi, as in the woman whose husband was also attacked? That is bold. That is bold. That's a choice. That's a choice. I'll be honest, you kind of a natural at this whole turning people off thing.
In that spirit, the Democrat Party should immediately stop weaponizing the justice system and labeling their political opponent as an enemy of democracy. Look at these crowds. You'd never have this at a convention. Look at these crowds.
You ain't never been to a convention before 2016, have you? Yeah, it shows. It shows.
North Korea's acting up again, but when we get back, I get along with them. He'd like to see me back, too. I think he misses me, if you want to know the truth.
A dictator misses you? You a wild boy. I'm gonna be honest. You are a wild boy. Any other historical adversaries of America you got in the clip?
And he said, I understand, Your Excellency. He called me Your Excellency. I wonder if he calls the other guy Your Excellency. I doubt it. The other guy gave him everything. I mean, what kind of a deal was that? He walked out, gave him everything.
Impressive, impressive. Now, remind people of just how old you are. Like start confusing technology.
And some of the things that we're going to do, but AI needs literally twice the electricity that's available now in our country. Can you imagine? But instead, we're spending places where they recharge electric cars. They built 8 chargers at a certain location toward the Midwest.
That was almost as wild as that whole thing about the shark and the battery.
So there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted if the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking? Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, you know, nobody's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
Can you believe people in this room still believe you? I know. Okay, you know what? Give them an impossible number. See if you can fix that.
By the way, you know who's taking the jobs that are created? 107% of those jobs are taken by illegal aliens. And you know who's being hurt the most by millions of people pouring into our country? The black population and the Hispanic population, because they're taking the jobs from our black population, our Hispanic population.
107%? You go. And combined with the black jobs thing, well done. Well done. Now, are you sure you don't want to mention Biden? Because he really brings the absurdity out.
The damage that this administration has done, and I say it often, if you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States, think of it, the 10 worst, added them up, they will not have done the damage that Biden has done. Only going to use the term once. Biden. I'm not going to use the name anymore, just one time. The damage that he's done to this country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable.
What's that? Okay, Trump, I just got news that in 4 days, no one has mentioned the 2020 election being stolen. We know that that turns people off, and they've made a point to avoid it for 4 whole days. We can't have that.
We have people that are a lot less than fierce, except when it comes to cheating on elections and a couple of other things. Then they're fierce. Then they're fierce.
Now, this next one, I'll admit, is a little weird. Some people aren't convinced how deranged you truly are. You remember that obsession you have with a 30-year-old story about a cannibalistic serial killer?
Hannibal Lecter. Anybody know Hannibal Lecter? We don't want him in this country.
Did anybody see that lovely little movie? Hannibal Lecter, right?
This is Hannibal Lecter. Welcome to Hannibal Lecter, because we got a lot of them right now coming into our country and already came into our country. I said, that's Silence of the Lamb. You know what that is? Has anybody seen Silence of the Lambs? Hannibal Lecter, how great an actor was he?
Well, now that the eyes of the world are in Milwaukee, you got one more in the clip?
The late, great Hannibal Lecter.
Now, here's where we play hardball, okay? Here's where we play hardball. We're refusing to leave. Yeah, no, we're refusing to leave. Let's keep people hostage and infuriate even the most ardent supporters. You know how we make people start leaving at the rallies?
With praise, real praise. So let's see how that turns out. Arizona, it's a big deal. And a lot of things are happening now in the state of Georgia. With all of these cancellations and all of the things that they're all of the votes that they're taking out of the system. And all of the dead people. Some of the dead people requested an application and did vote.
But that has nothing to do with it.
Even 30% of Democrats think it was cheating.
Like the people that show up to your rallies have to leave because you refuse to walk off stage. Yeah, we're gonna do that now on the biggest stage. I think you did it. I'll be honest. I think you did it. I knew we could trust you, bruh. The fact check alone from that speech was longer than Dana White's introduction.
Remarkably long acceptance speech, Jake, and a remarkably dishonest acceptance speech. I counted at least 22 false claims from Donald Trump on first listen. Let's start with one of the wildest claims he made. Listen to what he said about the state of the world when he was president.
The world was at peace. Our opponents inherited a world at peace and turned it into a planet of war. We're in a planet of war. The whole world was at peace, and now the world is blowing up around us.
This is false. Trump did not achieve world peace when he was president, certainly wasn't at peace when he left office. There were active wars or armed conflicts in dozens of nations in 2020, a 51 by one research institution's count, and then 51 again in 2021. Trump handed President Biden ongoing civil wars in Yemen and Syria, of course, an unresolved Israeli-Palestinian conflict, Israeli-Iranian conflict, a war in Ethiopia. I could go on for a while, but I don't have time because there were so many other false claims. So let's adjust some of those, not even all of them. He repeated his usual lie about Democrats having cheated in the 2020 election. It's nonsense. He said crime is going up. The opposite is true. It's gone sharply down in 2023 and early 2024, is now lower than it was under Trump in 2020. He said we have the worst inflation we've ever had. Again, not even close. It is 3% right now. The U.S. record is 23.7%. He said there was no inflation under him. It was low, of course, but not non-existent. It was 8% total for his presidency, 1.4% year over year in the month he left office. He said the price of groceries is up 57% under Biden. It's actually 21%. He said Democrats are proposing to quadruple people's taxes. That is imaginary. He said his tax cut was the largest in American history, not even close again. He said the Biden administration does nothing to stop migrants. Well, the administration tried to get Congress to pass a bill to tighten the border, and after Trump himself helped to kill that bill, Biden took executive action to tighten the border. Trump said he stopped human trafficking. Again, not true. He said China stopped buying oil from Iran under him. Also did not happen. He said foreign governments are deliberately sending criminals and mental health patients to the U.S. as migrants. His own campaign has been unable to provide proof for that. I certainly haven't found any myself. He said we defeated ISIS, 100% of ISIS, in a couple of months. In fact, the ISIS caliphate was declared fully liberated more than 2 years into his presidency. And there were other exaggerations about trade with China, about North Korean missile launches, about gas prices, about IRS agents. So it just went on and on and on in terms of falsehood, just like the speech went on and on and on itself.
It was this one for me, though. It was this one for me. This was your Heisman moment.
We will restore and renovate our nation's once great cities, making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. And that includes our nation's capital, which is a horrible killing field. So many things. They leave from Wisconsin, they go to look at the Washington Monument, they end up getting stabbed, killed, or shot.
You know what's so funny? I actually streamed that part of the speech from the Washington Monument with some people in Badgers t-shirts. Yeah. They was eating cheese curd gelato. I think you did it, Trump. I think you successfully turned the tide again. Wait, what? Oh, you not finished? You snubbed your own daughter? Hey, Trump, is this payback from a couple years ago?
Another one of those events where grading the conversation we just saw.
Grudge holding on the national stage by withholding affection. Wow. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, that is amazing. In fact, I wasn't going to ask you this before, but I know it meant a lot to some people that Melania finally made an appearance. Obviously, that check cleared. Can you find a way to make that weird? You know what? Now that I think about it, why didn't Melania speak?
Barack and I were raised with so many of the same values. Like, you work hard for what you want in life.
The values that you work hard for what you want in life.
That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
That your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
That you treat people with dignity and respect.
That you treat people with respect.
Because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
Because we want our children in this nation to know that the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Now, send people home just disgusted. Like, you've gone 95% of the way and you have knocked it out of the park. I need their lasting image to be something so devastating and infuriating that they will associate it with the RNC for years to come. Like, something that nobody's going to enjoy. Put Kid Rock on stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the most patriotic American badass on earth, President Donald J. Trump.
Yes! Yes! It said he's a billionaire and he's trying to increase the minimum wage. Ain't no way. Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now that we've settled on a nominee, it's time to see who she'll be playing with. Your prize, an all-expense-paid trip to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But who will you take on a trip? Let's look at our candidates, shall we? We have Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, who at 46 brings to the potential partnership all the political benefits of a Southern Democrat who has won convincingly in a conservative state on a pro-reproductive rights message, as well as a generational shift. Beshear entered the national conversation after his re-election victory in Kentucky, when he won by 5 percentage points in a state that Biden had lost by 26 points in 2020. Now, his win was largely the byproduct of a unique brand he built in Ruby Ray, Kentucky, effectively separating himself from the national party by focusing on state issues. Ooh. That might be a bit of an issue. I'm be honest, that might be an issue. Moving on, we have Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who at 42 came seemingly out of nowhere when he rocketed to the top of the Democrats' crowded 2020 presidential field, wowing primary voters with his beyond his years intelligence, personal story, and rhetorical chops. Buttigieg, the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, beat out far more established rivals to win the Iowa caucuses, but struggled with voters of color and drop out of the race to endorse Biden, helping consolidate support around him. I can see that happening in South Bend because Notre Dame has had that problem for years. In the Biden administration, Buttigieg has been one of Biden's most visible and capable surrogates, often going on TV to speak on behalf of the administration, especially on transportation policy. I'll be honest, Pete be giving them the business. Pete be giving them the business. He might be a Tim Scott situation where he's better for others than he is for himself because he be savaging people on Biden's behalf. Y'all don't want to cross Pete. Now we have North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, who is 67, would bring a Southern Democrat with a strong winning track record and political crossover appeal to the ticket. Not to mention, I just said 67. Y'all know how they love those retirees. He won both his races for governor in the years that Trump carried North Carolina at the presidential level. As governor, Cooper has been a champion of abortion rights in a state where Republicans enjoy close to a supermajority in the legislature. How'd he do it? Now, if I'm gonna have any issue with Roy Cooper, it's gonna be Mark Robinson. That man is in your state. He is in your business. I don't trust the voters in North Carolina. I don't trust the voters in North Carolina. No, they cannot be trusted. No, I cannot take somebody from a state that has Mark Robinson as its lieutenant governor and won the primary for the governorship. Nah, we can't do that. We can't do that. Moving on. Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, who has won twice statewide in the state, a historically red one, that is now ultra competitive. He won in a special election to the Senate in 2020 when control of Congress was decided by wafer thin margins. He won again in 2022, defying GOP expectations of a red wave during a Democratic president's midterm election. He's a former astronaut with a reputation for pragmatism, and his talents have been noticed. In the Senate, he's leaned in on local issues like water conservation and microchip manufacturing, and he's the husband of former Representative Gabby Giffords, who, by the way, was shot in 2011 and has undergone an inspiring journey that includes becoming a prominent gun safety advocate. He's also managed to navigate a divide between Arizona progressives and moderates that bedeviled fellow Senator Kyrsten Sinema, a Democrat turned wolf who is retiring after one term. He also endorsed Harris to replace Biden at the top of the ticket in a statement on Sunday. There is retired Admiral William McRaven, the 68-year-old. Oh, I like the sixes. 68-year-old retired four-star admiral is most well known for organizing and overseeing the special operation that killed Osama bin Laden as head of Joint Special Operations Command in 2011. He later spent 4 years as chancellor of the University of Texas system before retiring in 2018. I got to take some points away for the University of Texas because they've been trash when the lights come on. They can't finish. Maybe with Arch Manning, they might do something this year. I doubt it. In the years since, he's often emerged as a vocal critic of Trump, particularly on national security issues. McRaven is also famous for a 2014 University of Texas commencement speech about his 10 lessons for living a meaningful life, one of them being make your bed. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I'm an advocate anti-bed making. So I'm sorry. It might be a personal thing. I'm sorry. Speaking of personal, from my home state of Maryland, Governor Wes Moore, a 45-year-old Army combat veteran, y'all know we like those veterans, and a Rhodes Scholar. He's been a political newcomer before his bid for governor, but his 32 percentage point win, which made him just the third elected black governor ever. Is that true? Just three? That's it. It's 50 states, right? We have governor races all the time. But man, we way more racist than even I thought. Just the third black governor ever, as well as his personal story. His father died when he was a child, prompting moves and instability, and his youth helped him quickly become a rising star in the party. His name has been floated as a potential contender in 2028. Put him in the boat for later. We'll put him in the boat for later. You have California Governor Gavin Newsom, Another governor who is not black. Okay, 56. He has a long history with Harris, going back to their days coming up in San Francisco politics together. Only 3 years apart in age, they've shared several key advisors and donors over the years and had parallel career arcs. An experience that's made them allies and at times rivals, with Newsom seen as somewhat to Harris's left politically. A people person, Newsom's ambitious and hardworking, drawing on deep networks of wealthy supporters from Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and California's wine country. And more recently, he's built a large national following as a progressive leader. You know what? Put him in the power later. Put him. Yeah, we're gonna evaluate him later. He also endorsed Harris on Sunday evening, which is good. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Another. Is he black? No, another one. Still just three. Still just three black ones. All right. Pritzker, 59. Oh, just 1 year from that nice little bump we was going to give you at 60. He was an active Biden campaign surrogate, traveling to battleground states to stump for him. He founded a nonprofit, Think Big America, to advocate for abortion rights and to combat extremism with a focus on battleground states. He's a second-term governor who is popular in the state. He's been outspoken about protecting women's reproductive rights and has held up Illinois as a beacon for women seeking access to care. He's signed a host of progressive initiatives into law, including a ban on assault weapons, ghost guns, and switches, an increase in the minimum wage, a measure to enshrine abortion protections into law, and measures to legalize cannabis and expunge records. He invested in early childhood education, working towards universal preschool in the state. He's also demonstrated considerable political savvy, having landed the 2024 Democratic National Convention in his state after lobbying. He's widely considered to be a future presidential contender. As a billionaire who has self-financed, wait a minute. Hold on, let me look. That can't be right. Hold on, no, because it says he's a billionaire. It says he's a billionaire right there, but he's looking for early childhood education and combating extremism. No, that can't be right. No, because it said he's a billionaire and he's concerned about women's reproductive freedoms. Y'all know they don't do that. Hold up. It said he's a billionaire and he's trying to increase the minimum wage. Ain't no way. Let me find out. Hey, if you don't pick J.B. Pritzker, I'm going to give him a call. I'll tell you that right now. By the way, Pritzker has also endorsed Harris on Monday. Put him in the pile for later. Put him at the top, too. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, who brings to the table a substantial record of outperforming other Democrats and one of the most pivotal swing states of Pennsylvania in his race for governor. He's first elevated onto the national scene as a state attorney general for high-profile investigations into abuse in the Catholic Church and fighting to defend his state's election after the 2020 vote as former President Trump tried to overturn it. Ooh, that's a good one too. That's a good one. That's back to back. Yeah, back to back. He said in a statement Sunday he's backing Harris for president. I like it. We looking good. Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia. Before he entered national politics, Warnock was the pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. Yes, enjoying the influence and historical importance of speaking from the pulpit of the Church of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., one of the most storied in America. Since then, he's been repeatedly put to the electoral test in a key battleground state. He's been on the ballot 5 times since 2020, 1 Democratic primary, 2 generals, and 2 runoffs, and he's won all of them. He's also the first black person elected senator from Georgia. One drawback to Warnock leaving the Senate is that Democrats would lose the seat if he were on the winning presidential ticket, because under Georgia law, Governor Brian Kemp would appoint a successor, and he would definitely appoint somebody trash. So there's that. Very risky, very risky. Said he was proud to endorse Harris in a statement Monday night. Also a benefit to Warnock. If you have Warnock around you, you don't have to go to church, so you save some time on that. Just have him just put his hand on you, and then you save time on a Sunday. Oh, we got one more. We got Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who's carried her swing state twice and was on Biden's running mate shortlist back in 2020. At 52, she would offer the ticket a Midwestern governor who was reelected to a second term by a healthy margin after she emerged as a Trump foil. Her criticism of the federal response drew Trump's rage, and you know how attractive that is. If you're anti-Trump, that's a pretty good thing. He branded her derisively as the woman from Michigan. He act like He can't mention her name. He act like he Ohio State. The woman from the state up north. Whitmer is also known for folksiness and colorful language, which is always a plus. Okay, now let's be honest. Admiral McCraven, I appreciate your service, but you ain't bringing no state. You ain't bringing no state. You got to come. You came to a party with no wine. You got no wine. You got no bread. You got nothing. Come on. What you gonna do? Which brings us to Gavin Newsom. Not only can we not have two people from California, is just you on the rug with Kim Guilfoyle? Yeah. The same one that thought we were fighting communism on the beaches of Normandy. Yeah, that's you with Kim Guilfoyle, right? Yeah, that's disqualifying. I'm sorry. That is just disqualifying. But I would love to keep you around as a spokesperson. You do a fantastic job there. Speaking of spokespeople, Pete Buttigieg, you do a fantastic job. I have to be straight. We are expecting the American people to suspend their racism and their sexism. And now we also are going to ask them to suspend their homophobia as well. That's a lot to ask. I'll be honest. Just as a black person, I'm nervous about it. I can understand women being nervous about it. I don't think America can be trusted with you. That's all I'm saying. I don't think America can be trusted. I don't know if they can be trusted with her. So adding you to the ticket, Gretchen Whitmer, you know how it is. You know how Gretchen Whitmer, you know I love you. If it was just you, I can rock with you. But two women on the ticket. Look, you saw what happened to Hillary. You know how they feel about you know how they feel about women. They trying to take all women's rights. You think they want to put two women in charge? Cooper is gone because of Mark Robinson. Then we have Bashir, who said he's not as focused on national affairs. We'll leave him to handle his thing in Kentucky. Mark Kelly, I like Mark Kelly a lot. Now, we have never had a woman president before. This is like the first time that we're ever going to have a first gentleman if she is elected. But then also having a second lady who is also a congressperson. You don't want that kind of you don't want that kind of competition. No, I'm sorry. Mark Kelly, just next time, Mark Kelly. Raphael Warnock and Wes Moore. How racist do I think America still is that I would trust them to vote for two black people on the ticket? Wasn't it just a Nazi march in Nashville? Weren't they just messing with black people in Nashville? Not to mention, I can't even wait to do a Racist of the Week once a week. I'm taping a Racist of the Week like every other day. No, we're not. I'm sorry. No, we can't. I'm sorry. Look, they're already attacking somebody who was a DA and a senator as being DEI. What you think? That's gonna be their tagline running against y'all is just DEI. That's all they're gonna say. Which leads me to Shapiro and Pritzker. Ooh, this is tough. This is a tough Shapiro and Pritzker. That's tough. I like both of them. Yeah. You know what? I got it. Okay. So, what? We got a last minute entrant. Is that Juan Bahamas? Oh, you are the, yeah. I like him. Look, Kamala, I don't ask you for much. Actually, I do. But this one last thing. I got your running mate, Juan Bahamas. If you don't say nothing, I won't say nothing. But you guys let me know who you think Kamala Harris's running mate should be in the comments. Or, of course, you can always email me at reese.waters@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing what y'all say. It's Juan Bahamas, ain't it?
Reparations from slavery and black victimization is about to be shoved down our throats for the most wretched holiday in America. BLM raised millions, but what did they do for black lives? It is outrageous to see people asking for reparations, even though they never went through slavery. These ungrateful people should be celebrated because they were born in the greatest nation to ever exist. Here's a tip. If you don't like America, kindly get the fuck out.
Really? Really? From an immigrant. From an immigrant, you don't like America, get the F out. You just got in the club trying to kick people out the club. You don't even work here. Like, you just showed up to Walmart in a blue shirt. Welcome to a new edition of Racist of the Week. Now, this is where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, and definitely leave me any possible suggestions for nominees in the comments. And so many of you have nominated this person over the course of the last couple weeks. Today's nominee, Missouri Secretary of State candidate Valentina Gomez. Now, it is hard to be black out here in 2024. First, you got the systemic issues that we refuse to address, which apparently seem to be growing. Now we're coming after Brown versus Board of Education because we got ruckus on the Supreme Court. But then we get ruckuses and Sambos that come in every color and apparently in every gender. Now, I did not want to talk about this lady. I really did not want to talk about this lady. I didn't want to give her the attention she so clearly wanted. I swear I didn't. But some gnats just need to be swatted. Here's where I decided enough was enough. You remember the recent Racist of the Week I did on Lily Gaddis?
Immigrants fresh off the boat looking for a green card. Yes, they are probably gold diggers, but that's the exception. I'm the rule. Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke-ass niggas.
A few moments later.
I think this is your first public interview. Is this your first public interview?
And you couldn't resist. You like, no, we have to cape for a fellow racist. We can't, no racist left behind. Yeah, she was the woman who was working as a graphic designer who, after going viral for dropping N's on a cooking video, decided she would parlay that into right-wing media. Yeah, that's it. No ideas, no plans, no platform, no, just an N. You know what I mean? Just an N. You really want to build on that. That's like the raw clay, and from that you can mold a right-wing media mogul. Now keep her in mind, because you guys have been sending me this lady for forever, and for good reason. Now, I will say I'm unsure if YouTube will let me play the music under these clips, but fortunately every single thing she does is for social media, and it's been subtitled. So here were the things that you guys sent me before.
In America, you can be anything you want. Don't do what you say. Jimmy Kimmel, thank you for your endorsements. Let's get rid of all the pedophiles in Hollywood and the rest of the nation. Together, we will make libraries great again. Happy to send you and Aaron Rodgers one of these. I heard there was another Chinese spy balloon flying by. I guess I'm gonna have to shoot it down. Good thing I'm always ready for everything. There's a lot of Hamas people coming for me on my social media. My address is public, so fuck around.
Imagine that, Hamas on social media. That is crazy. That's quite a bit of multitasking. But this one took the cake. Last week on Juneteenth, she dropped this.
Reparations from slavery and black victimization is about to be shoved down our throats for the most ratchet holiday in America. BLM raised millions, but what did they do for black lives? It is outrageous to see people asking for reparations, even though they never went through slavery. These ungrateful people should be celebrated because they were born in the greatest nation to ever exist. Here's a tip. If you don't like America, kindly get the fuck out.
Now let's start at the top. Reparations from slavery and black victimization is about to be shoved down our throats for the most ratchet holiday in America. Yeah, I want to go ahead and thank Candace Owens for that. Yeah, Candace. Matter of fact, she tweeted at Candace Owens. I agree with Candace Owens. This holiday is ghetto. See, Candace, you see what happens when you decide to play pick me with your own people at your expense? You see what happens? You thought that was gonna make them like you, right? You thought that was gonna bring them over to your side. No, you just enable them to be able to echo your sentiments. That is exactly what you do. So shout out to you for enabling this behavior. Then she goes on.
BLM raised millions, but what did they do for Black lives?
What does Black Lives Matter have to do with this? Huh? What does Black Lives Matter raising money have to do with Juneteenth? Like what does that have to do? Like what is this like anti-black Mad Libs? Is that what this is? So let me see. I want to say she gonna bring up Chicago. She definitely gonna bring up Chicago. We got to bring up black on black crime. I mean, you have to bring up black on black crime. Gangster rap. Yeah, we're going to talk about gangster rap. We're going to talk about the culture. We're going to talk about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. You know, we definitely going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Obama was not legitimate. We're going to get a little birtherism in there. The cops probably should have got Jada Pinkett and set it off. They definitely should not have let her go. Yeah, that's what I'm holding on my bingo board for Valentina Gomez anti-black bingo. That's what I'm sending in.
It is outrageous to see people asking for reparations, even though they never went through slavery.
She goes on, it is outrageous to see people asking for reparations, even though they never went through slavery. Oh, this must go back to that whole black victimization thing you were talking about. Hey! All y'all black on black crime culprits. Yeah, we got one. She don't believe in victimization. Yeah, she don't believe in victimization. Yeah, even if she's the victim, she don't want to be a victim. She don't believe in victimization. So we got one. Yeah. You good. You good on that. And she clearly doesn't believe in generational wealth either. So whatever was passed on to her or she plans to pass on to other people, that's, you know what I mean? Because generational wealth ain't a thing.
These ungrateful people should be celebrated because they were born in the greatest nation to ever exist. Here's a tip. If you don't like America, kindly get the fuck out.
Really? Really? From an immigrant? From an immigrant, you don't like America, get the F out. You just got in the club trying to kick people out the club. You don't even work here. Like, you just showed up to Walmart in a blue shirt trying to ring people up and trying to check people's receipts. Like, we don't know you. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen something like this. We should be well acquainted at this point for Sambos and Ruckuses to come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. We've seen Vivek, we've seen Nikki Haley, we've seen Marco Rubio, we've seen Ted Cruz. But the difference between Vivek, Nikki Haley, Marco Rubio, and Ted Cruz, at least they wrap their racism in some sense of accomplishment. Like, at least they had careers that they wrapped their anti-black racism in. It wasn't just built on the bedrock of being racist. Apparently, that is something that you can do in 2024, which is why I brought up Lily Gaddis, who was trying to build a media career, literally said, thank you, black community, for playing your part and launching my career on the back of dropping an N. And here you have somebody trying to launch a political career, somebody who wants to be Secretary of State of a state full of a lot of black people, and she wants to build that purely on the back of racism. And if you thought that she had overstepped her bounds with this particular video, oh no, she doubled down in a statement saying, if you are not a slave, then you do not deserve any reparations. She goes on, straight white men built the roads we drive on, the buildings where we live, and the ones that fought and declared independence from the tyranny of the British. for us to have freedom and the pursuit of happiness. To anyone that does not like America, GTFO. She also said President Trump is the greatest president of all time, and I look forward to accepting his endorsements. What I find so funny about that, because I don't want to waste too much of my time debunking all of this nonsense, because we see it exactly for what it is, but I have a specific point to make. What I find so specific is she had to declare that they were straight white men. She had to declare that they were straight white men. She is, of course, going to ignore the role that African Americans played in building this country and ignore the role that any other races played in building this country. She's ignoring the Asian contribution. She's ignoring the Latino contribution. But they had to be straight. She had to make sure they were straight white men. What evidence for that? The evidence for that is the fact that I'm anti-gay whenever possible. That is the evidence for that. Just to make sure that I'm checking all my boxes. Let me make sure they were straight. These were straight white men who drank beer, and they had guns on them while they were building these roads. If anything is consistent in its ability to draw white people over to your side, it is anti-blackness. She came in with absolutely no resume and no accomplishments whatsoever. She wants to be Secretary of State of Missouri. How am I going to accomplish that? How am I going to win people over to my side?
Reparations from slavery and black victimization is about to be shoved down our throats for the most wretched holiday in America.
Attack black people. That is it. That I'm going to attack. It is the gift that keeps on giving. Anti-blackness is like the Mario star in America. That is something that will take you far with absolutely nothing else needed to associate yourself with. And just to see how flimsy and transparent this whole thing is, just check out her take on the WNBA, because she had to get involved in it. You know, she likes to stay viral, right? This is her take on the WNBA, and you'll never guess who she loves.
Brittany Griner should be rotting in a Russian prison, not going to the Olympics. Caitlin Clark is the only reason why we even watched women's basketball. She deserves to go to the Olympics, unlike this unpatriotic lesbian. Caitlin Clark, America and I have your back.
Lesbian? Ooh. Who's gonna tell her? Huh? Who's gonna be the one to tell her? Don't worry, don't even worry about it, because I'd be surprised if she even knew what sport the WNBA played. It was just a nice vehicle to let white people know you can be just as racist and even more obvious in your racism. Now, I decided I wanted to do this because it's notable for one very significant reason. In the same way that I did the race of the week and talked about right-wing media, and the only thing you need for right-wing media is to be racist, here we have somebody who was operating in the shadows of Donald Trump, somebody who laid the groundwork of the things that you need in order to rise up the ranks in MAGA world. And now you have clones that have done less and less and less and less. And finally, you have somebody who's done nothing, absolutely nothing, but is building an entire Secretary of State platform on antagonizing black people. This is the degradation you get. It's almost like when, you remember we used to have tapes like the Maxell tapes and the TDK tapes, and you remember the more that you recorded, the more that you kept recording over it, it just got degraded and the quality just got worse and worse, and eventually it was just a garbled mess. This is the garbled mess of a million-time recorded over tape of Donald Trump. And while we're on the topic of Donald Trump, while he's out here trying to appeal to black people.
And I said it to a large African-American group of people 4 years ago. What the hell do you have to lose? You're the worst in income. You're the worst on crime. Your cities and your areas are being decimated. You can't get a home. You can't get mortgage. You can't get, they're last on it. I said, and the Democrats have for 100 years run these cities, 100 years. I said to them, what the hell do you have to lose?
I have a whole piece about that The link will be in the description. So while the GOP and Fox News and everybody is out here trying to appeal to black people, where's their denouncement of this? Huh? Where is their denouncement of this? Right? If this is not who you are, right? If this is not all that's needed, who is checking her qualifications? Who is calling her out for her consistent thirst? Who is it? Who is it? Because y'all don't do it for Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're not doing it for a way worse Marjorie Taylor Greene. Nobody. Well, if you're not going to call her out, this is exactly who you are, and you can come get this nomination with her. So congratulations to Valentina Gomez and the entire Missouri GOP movement for now. But we could go national. You are our racist of the week. And as always, if you have somebody you would like to nominate, go ahead and leave it in the comments. You can email me at reese.waters@gmail.com, as you guys did for this woman. And be sure to subscribe to the page to make sure you get notified when the next video drops.
Enough was enough! And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother! Let Trumpomania rule again!
Excuse me, Hulk. Yeah, we didn't get that in the first take. Yeah, you didn't rip it all because you don't have the wingspan to do it. You know what? If you call Brooke and she puts you in touch with one of those brothers, they probably, because black people, they have long wingspans, so they probably would have been able. Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Okay, we've seen Tim Scott and Byron Donalds sent home with no biscuits.
Do I believe in myself? 100% I do. And so, we'll see what President Trump decides. I'm going to support whatever he does.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Uh-oh.
I just love you.
No. Don Jr. asked what was it about J.D. Vance. The first thing he said was he liked the way J.D. Vance was on TV.
The crypto rapper gone wrong.
And that's when it hit me. These are my people. This is where I belong.
Ghetto MAGA.
If you took that stage, you would get booed off of it. You would get booed off the stage.
Shut up, Gates. Hey, don't be an asshole.
Dude, I don't even know who you are.
It doesn't fucking matter. Don't be an asshole.
One person who raised the issue, he's got an ethics complaint about sleeping with a 17-year-old.
And of course, a very dangerous rash of ear injuries.
From the next Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance.
Links to all those videos are in the description. What's on tap for the finale?
And I want to talk about tonight, right? You're going to see Dana White, who was on camera slapping his wife. You're going to see Hulk Hogan, whose wife accused him of abuse. You're going to hear from Donald Trump, who's a and then all of this week, they've launched J.D. Vance, who's declared that women have to stay with their abusers. So this election is about whether women and people of color will be relegated once again to second-class citizens in this country.
Just think of the audacity. That's a worse lineup than Ahmad Rashad's wedding. You know what? Let's start with a woman.
I first met Donald Trump when I was the CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment. For fun, he became part of some of the most compelling and highest rated storylines in the company's history.
Nope, no way. It was definitely when Vince McMahon. Is anybody clean here?
Kid Rock.
What up, America? If you're ready for President Trump to take the stage, I need everybody to stand up. I need everybody to put a fist up in the air.
Okay, so that's clearly a no. Is Hulk Hogan ready yet? No? Who booked him anyway? It was Peter Thiel? He's the low-key villain of the last 10 years. Yeah, he like quiet Elon Musk. All right, put on Dana White.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dana White. I am the CEO and president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. So 2 weeks ago, I got a call from President Trump asking me if I'd be willing to speak tonight.
Why are you yelling? There's a mic right there.
As usual, there was no pressure, no demands. He asked me as a friend, and of course I said yes. Then, after I accepted his offer, he sent me a text message, and I just want to read to you a little piece of what President Trump wrote to me.
Oh, this should be good.
That's the President Trump that I know, a man who truly cares about people. The mainstream media likes to push the narrative that he doesn't care about anyone but himself. I absolutely know that's not the truth because I've been friends with this guy for 25 years.
Well, if Dana White says it's true, then it's true. Just ask the criminally underpaid UFC roster.
And I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you what I know. And I know President Trump. I know President Trump is a fighter. I've been saying this since 2015. Now look at what's happened over the last 10 years. We have all seen it with our own eyes. I'm in the tough guy business, and this man is the toughest, most resilient human being that I've ever met in my life.
You know how mad I would be if I was a UFC fighter? So I'm out here taking these punches just for you to put me underneath General Bone Spurs?
I'm super excited. It was really tough. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was definitely a different ballgame, but I had a blast, so thank you.
I know why he's running for president again. Why else would he put himself through everything he's dealt with just to get back here? We all know he doesn't need this. This guy's got a great life. He has a beautiful family, and he has achieved everything that you could possibly achieve in life.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. He didn't need to. Oh wait, the whole immunity ruling, whose sole purpose was to try and keep him out of jail. Oh, okay. There's that. I mean, they wouldn't want to give Biden immunity if he didn't really need immunity. But I will give you credit for the fact that he has actually achieved everything. You're right on that. He's achieved everything. Bankruptcy, divorce, lawsuits, indictments, convictions. Oh, I just thought of one. I just thought of one thing. Prison. I can't with all this yelling. He sounds like James Evans. Is Hulk Hogan ready yet? Man, tell him to hurry up. We need him to come out here and bury the last time he was seen in public.
As you sit in that witness stand today, that you were discussing the length of your penis on Bubba's radio program. Any doubt?
Well, it's not mine, because mine isn't that size, but we were discussing the length of Hulk Hogan's.
Seriously? So you
No, seriously, I do not have a 10-inch penis. No, I do not. Okay. Seriously.
And to think, that was only the second worst thing to come out of that whole leak. Oh, you remember the audio when he was talking to his daughter? Huh? Nah, I don't remember what he said. I wrote it down. Quote, I don't know if Brooke was effing the black guy's son. I mean, I don't have double standards. I mean, I am a racist to a point, effing ends. But then when it comes to nice people and S, whatever. I mean, I'd rather, if she was going to F some N, I'd rather her marry an 8 foot tall N worth $100 million. You know, like a basketball player. I guess we're all a little racist. F and N. First of all, I have seen a lot of racist leaks, some that include in and some that admit that you are in fact racist, but not both. You just know he was talking crazy to Virgil and Junkyard Dog and Coco Beware. He's probably the reason why Debo was so mad.
Hell yeah. Got about $200, huh, Debo?
I got about $200.
Huh?
Oh,
You're going to speak to him.
I can't wait. This is going to be like body slamming the giant at WrestleMania.
So, fake then?
What brought you out here? Why are you here?
Well, you know, Brett, I got tired of remaining silent. You know, I sat back and watched the borders collapse. I watched the economy collapse. You know, I watched the price of gas, the price of food, everything just do an upside down flip.
Oh, well, your world collapsed because...
No, seriously, I do not have a 10-inch penis. No, I do not. Seriously.
And when they took a shot at my hero, Donald Trump, I realized that I couldn't be silent anymore. You know, I had to step up. I had to be a real American, just like all these real Americans here in Donald Trump. I have a voice too, and I want people to know it's time to talk. It's time not to be silent anymore.
Hogan, are you sure it's time to talk? Cause last time we heard you, I mean, I'd rather if she was going to F some in, I'd rather her marry an 8-foot-tall in worth $100 million like a basketball player. I guess we're all a little racist. Effing in. It makes you wonder, how is the RNC convention going to receive an avowed racist?
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Nah. You lost brother privileges. You lost brother privileges. I do not want to hear brother come out of your mouth one more time. Why? And I quote,
"But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero?"
I know that jacket stink. Yeah, he gonna have to throw that away. You got to throw that whole jacket away. It smelled like a wrestling train and spray tan from '88.
But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero? And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
Excuse me, Hulk. Yeah, we didn't get that in the first take. Yeah, you didn't rip it all because you don't have the wingspan to do it. You know what? If you call Brooke and she puts you in touch with one of those brothers, they probably, because you know black people, they have long wingspans, so they probably would have been able to go ahead and rip that.
All you scumbags, all you drug dealers, and all you crooked politicians need to answer one question, brother. What you gonna do when Donald Trump and all the Trumpomaniacs run wild on you?
You know, that's actually a really great question. Booker T, you want to take this one?
We want the gold, sucker. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
You know what's so wild? I had a Racist of the Week that I had been planning to do all about Hulk Hogan, and before I could even do it, he speaks at the RNC. You can't make this stuff up. Yeah, it was about that whole brand ambassador who you mysteriously fired. By the way, look for that coming up. In the meantime, I can't wait to hear what they have to say about this.
People like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan gave what I would say is probably the best speech at this convention so far, and there have been speeches that have blown the roof off this place. People who love the conservative politics here, who love MAGA. Hogan came in here, he did something completely different. He also was just entertaining, right? He was funny, he made people laugh, and even if you don't care for the politics here, he might have entertained you.
We're done. We're done. Nah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap for America. It's a wrap. Hey, somebody called a nation of domination. Yeah, now what you got to say, Hogan?
In my opinion, Donald Trump, the first thing he would do would be pull out the comb for the over so we can get the comb over, brother. So, let's see, we pucker them little lips up. So now that I got the comb over, and I'm official Trumpetized, Trump-a-median running wild with a comb over. Oh, wait a minute, there's a flap of wind. Cover the bald spot. Hold on, brother. Whoa, whoa, whoa. God, turn the wind off. This is Donald Trump. Whoa, don't blow my hair up. All right, now that I got the comb over, the first thing I'm going to do is, Ivana, you're fired. Melania, you're fired. Ivanka, you're... Oh, no, that's my daughter. I can't fire my daughter. Hold on. Donald Jr., I can't fire... Oh, can't fire her. I mean, him, that's my other son. The new wife, you're Wait, I can't fire the new wife. She'll take the other half of my stuff.
Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. My name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Because some of y'all are still taking this man seriously. Yeah, Elon Musk, the guy who turned a beacon of public information into a right-wing troll farm, or he made it musky. It's very musky. It is very, very musky over there. That's why I keep my distance. Now, those of you that have been watching this channel for any period of time know there's a couple things that particularly get under my skin. One is racism that comes from other minorities, especially if it's immigrants that came to this country and want to inject themselves into our family business. You know, the ones that benefit from the civil rights struggle who want to look down on black people.
We've never been a racist country. I faced racism when I was growing up.
One more time.
We've never been a racist country. I faced racism when I was growing up.
Nikki, I need you to help me with something. There's also this tweet that you posted, as well as your own family history. Your family only immigrated because civil rights leaders reformed America's racist immigration laws in 1965 to allow Asians to immigrate. Her father then taught at an HBCU. Then there's the existence and necessity for HBCUs in the first place, which could also refute your point. Extra ash if you come from a country with a history of racial oppression. Although, I guess technically that's every country, though, at this point. The second thing that ashes my elbows, people born into wealth who use the gains of their hard-fought, birth to subjugate others. The kind of person that's born on third base and act like they hit a triple, and it is your job to carry them home. Well, congratulations, Elon Musk. You are 2 out of 2, which makes you a natural first recipient of my first, are we calling it garbage person award? POS award? Dirtbag of the week? Is it the week of the week? Cornball of the week. We need to work on that. I'll put something in the community tab. We'll do a poll. The Tim Scott of the week. The kind of person who would be tweeting about DEI while he's facing civil rights lawsuits over racial abuse. Tesla, where Musk serves as CEO, is currently facing a lawsuit from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission over allegations of racial abuse against black employees, including racial slurs and the discovery of nooses in the workplace. Furthermore, Tesla has been accused of not addressing complaints of racial abuse and even retaliating against employees who spoke out. So this is all starting to make a little bit of sense now, because if you get rid of the diversity, then you don't have any complaints from the Equal Opportunity Commission. So if you can't stamp out the racism, stamp out the race. Oh, y'all didn't know? Listening to a man fighting racism charges talk about diversity in the workplace would be like listening to the GOP talk about diversity in the workplace, or women's rights, or LGBT rights, or religious persecution, or footwear. Especially haircuts. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. Elon Musk is a groundbreaker. We've seen the DEI arguments devolve into ridiculousness over the past few months, but he didn't wait. He got stupid right out of the gate. Elon Musk's initial DEI comments began when he responded to a user's speculation about the IQ scores of United Airlines pilots who graduated from historically black colleges and universities, insinuating that these scores might be lower than those of Air Force pilots. That he's going at HBCUs. And one thing we know is that not all black professionals go to HBCUs. I did not go to an HBCU, so that's curious that all of a sudden you would select them as the object of your slander. Then you go on to average the SAT scores at an HBCU and attach those to everybody who goes to said HBCU. And I didn't even know you could do that. That is incredible. I didn't know you could take the average SAT score at a school and apply that to everybody who went there and disqualify them from working in certain positions. Man, I'm gonna have some carnage. And of course, there was that whole mess with Don Lemon.
If you look at history, if you study history broadly, everyone was a slave. Everyone. We are all descended from slaves.
Yeah.
Well, all of us.
Yeah.
It's just a question of when. What advantages did my color, my skin give me? Well, if we keep talking about it nonstop, it will never go away.
Man, couple that with the video of Candace Owens when she was on Don Lemon. I think Don has a solid brand going, like interviews where everybody looks bad. Musk came out of that championing his cause as a free speech warrior, but that's only for people who aren't on Musky Twitter. Those who are know that free speech goes as far as he agrees with it, as the litany of banned accounts would attest. You know, if they could attest, if they weren't banned. I'll tell your story. Where my Hamilton fans at? You know how they say you can tell a person by who their friends are?
Musk stands between the fantasies of the media as these charlatans attempt to railroad the realities of our experience. So how can the media maintain their gaslighting if the public can so easily and quickly expose and debunk their orchestrated cover-ups? They can't. Musk turned us all into a nation of debunkers and exposes the media daily for what they are: liars, cheats, and hoaxsters. It's often said that sunshine is the best disinfectant, that people do better when they're being observed, but this assumes the media are actually people.
Exposing the media daily for what they are: liars, cheats, and hoaxsters. Oh, you mean like this? It's too easy. Now, what would this champion of exposing media be if he didn't start the Harris-Trump showdown with a little disinformation, huh? The man exposing the liars and hoaxsters. How about a fully AI-generated video attacking Kamala Harris? A video originally released by account Mr. Reagan USA, who I can only assume is very upset about these Nancy revelations, where Kamala Harris's voice was cloned and mimicked, gained Elon's attention, and he shared it without explicitly noting it was originally released as a parody. It's now been viewed over 100 million times.
I, Kamala Harris, and your Democrat candidate for president.
All right, well, first you got me messed up that she pronounced her own name wrong. Like, that's what we doing? AI got a long way to go.
I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist.
I'm surprised she didn't just call herself an N. Hard R.
I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant.
Exploring the significance in the insignificant. I think we got something there.
But if I'm sitting down and that boat's going down and I'm on top of a battery and the water starts flooding in, I'm getting concerned. But then I look 10 yards to my left and there's a shark over there. So I have a choice of electrocution or shark. You know what I'm going to take? Electrocution. I will take electrocution every single time. Do we agree?
All right, back to the video.
Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa.
Whoa, 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 whoa. There is nothing wrong with pretending to celebrate Kwanzaa. I think most of us pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa.
In my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression.
So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
That is, no, he said a Barack Obama impression. Yeah, as opposed to a Michelle Obama impression.
Of the values that you work hard for what you want in life.
For what you want in life.
That your
word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
Keep your promise.
That you treat people with dignity and respect, and because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
Now, we'll give the video some credit. A more sinister deepfake would have been one that could have been perceived as something real, and there's no way this could be perceived as anything real. So it is clearly a parody because of its absurdity, and that is the best thing that I can say for you. However, by late Saturday, Musk had clarified the video was intended as satire, but that didn't satisfy many users, many of whom pointed out that under X's policies, synthetic, manipulated, or out-of-context media that may deceive or confuse people and lead to harm is not allowed on the platform. X says it first evaluates the content has been significantly and deceptively altered, manipulated, or fabricated, which it says includes overdubbed audio that's been added or edited that fundamentally changes the understanding, meaning, or context of the media. Next, it considers the context, like whether it's been presented as reality. And last, it determines if the content could lead to widespread confusion on public issues, impact public safety, or cause serious harm. X says that satire doesn't violate the policy as long as it doesn't cause significant confusion about the authenticity of the media. Now, this is something we're going to have to contend with. If you recall earlier this year, a robocall that used AI to mimic President Joe Biden's voice urged New Hampshire voters to stay home during the primary. Hi, my name is Joe Biden. Sit your ass down. That was a recreation. We were unable to get audio of the actual call. Now, keep in mind, this happened the same week as the White Dudes for Harris account was mysteriously suspended after raising $2 million. Now, what did they get suspended for? Violating our rules against evading suspension. How do you get suspended for violating rules against evading suspension? What was the original charge? This is like that time the IRS charged me a penalty and a late fee based on zero balance. How are we doing that? I do like the White Dude for Harris thing, though. That's dope.
All of the leading vice presidential candidates, but here I am. Also, quick observation, they have Kid Rock, Kevin Sorbo, and a dolphin aficionado, and we have the Hulk, Samwise Gamgee, Luke Skywalker, and Mayor Pete just on this Zoom. That's pretty damn cool.
I'm sorry, did you say Hulk?
Enough was enough, and I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother.
Oh, the real Hulk. Okay, I got it. And Samwise Gamgee?
That our country, get the placemat out when you're with a kindergartner and you're looking at the placemat of the presidents. Not one woman. And the other side, they try and take everything that's good about us and demean it. Kamala Harris smiles. She laughs. She dances. She has joy. She's alive. And they try and ridicule her for that. And they try and undermine us for that. This is a serious person who can prosecute a tough case against people when she's in the Senate. Those are some of the most exciting moments during that awful time, was watching this senator take them to task. Kavanaugh and some of those other people that I watched her fully prepared for her moments. So exquisite with her use of language. Such seriousness of purpose that she has. Full package.
That's fire. We're going to have to come back around to Mayor Pete to land the plane on this thing. But I will say this. Elon Musk coming out of the closet in July for an election that happens in November with a video that's clearly deep-faked, arbitrary suspensions of accounts, is really telegraphing his hand in a way that doesn't seem particularly effective. Like, if you really wanted to impact the election, laying deeper in the weeds for longer and manipulating things a little bit less as to make them seem real seems to be a more effective way to go about your business. But then again, you also were behind the Tesla truck. So, I mean, who am I? Who am I to tell you how to be ineffective? I mean, clearly that has become part of your brand. What has happened right now? White Dudes for Harris has now raised $4 million. That's right. When you draw attention to how sideways you're moving, people respond to how sideways you're moving. It also is going to discourage any like-minded individuals from continuing to engage on musky Twitter. So you've made things just a little bit too hot for you to manipulate moving forward. However, that wasn't good enough for Gavin Newsom, who, by the way, is currently in the running for Kamala's VP. He weighed in threatening legislative action, saying manipulating a voice in an ad like this one should be illegal. I'll be signing a bill in a matter of weeks to make sure that it is. To which Elon responded, bro, that's y'all's mans? I mean, really, that's y'all's mans? I want to talk to the people. We were talking about this in my live. The black people still buying Teslas despite his record on civil rights and complaining about DEI because of this dude. Because you just can't resist. You just cannot resist the genius of this man. I think I know exactly who wrote that. This Elon Musk. Yeah, this Elon Musk thought that was absolutely hilarious. All of the wisdom and the maturity of Rodney Dangerfield and Back to School, or Adam Sandler and Billy Madison. He is basically Adam Sandler and Billy Madison showing up at the talent show, and because he's able to complete the dance, gets a round of applause, even though he's a full-grown adult, and actually internalize that as approval. Like that is literally what we have going on a daily basis with Twitter. Now, I'll give points to Gavin Newsom for trying to put this genie back in the bottle. But if you're wondering, this is exactly how you VP right here.
Choice and her stance on defending a woman's right to choose versus Donald Trump, who eliminated a right to choose in this country.
Well, he sent it back to the states, to be fair.
Let's be very clear. He is proud of the fact that he demolished the national right to choose in this country, period.
But there are states that are figuring this out. I mean, there are some that are, I mean, it's nearly impossible, a 6-week ban or less. But there are others, there are states in this country that allow no restrictions up until the due date of a child.
There was a national right to choose in this country, law of the land, for 50 years, which the vast majority of Americans believed was the right thing to do. But Donald Trump made a promise when he was a candidate, one of the few promises he actually kept, by the way. You know, he didn't keep his promise of 6% economic growth. He didn't keep his promise to drain the swamp.
He did have a pandemic to deal with.
But even before the pandemic, America went into a manufacturing recession, which really hurt places like where I come from in the industrial Midwest. But anyway, my point is, he broke his promise for that kind of economic growth. He broke his promise to pass an infrastructure bill, right? He said he would do that. He failed to do it. The Biden-Harris administration got it done. He even broke his promise to that January 6th mob when he said, I will be at your side when you march down to the Capitol. But he actually did keep two promises. He kept his promise to destroy the right to choose in this country, and he kept his promise on tax cuts for the rich. And if you want to know what a second Trump term would be like, I would start by looking at those rare promises that he actually managed to keep.
He did say that he wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade, but again, send it to the states where they are hashing this out
empower the states to eliminate women's access to abortion. And also, as you know, the Republican Party continues to be interested in a national abortion ban.
Which he's disavowed completely.
Yeah, he's disavowed a lot of things. I don't believe him. Because he lies all the time.
You think that his pledge that he would not pass a national ban is one that
it's one that's going to go down with most of the promises that he's made and broken.
Now that is straight savagery. By the way, I have an email list that I maintain, and I have a newsletter that I send out periodically as well. I would love for you to get on my email list. Feel free to shoot me a message at reese.waters@gmail.com. That's reese.waters@gmail.com. And the same goes if you have any suggestions for videos, if you have any nominees for Racist of the Week, if you have something that you are troubled by, or you just want to throw me a kudos, feel free to email me. I don't always get a chance to look at all of the comments, but I definitely look at all of the emails and I respond.